All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us for our weekly HEI showcase. We're super excited to visit the wonderful state of Kansas and where we'll get to learn all about the University of Kansas. And I'm super happy to have Catherine here to tell us all about this amazing university. So over to you, Catherine.
Yeah, thank you for having me. So I'm Catherine. I'm the International Missions Representative at the University of Kansas. And today I'll be just talking a little overview about who we are, the programs we have to offer, where we're located, as well as our requirements and scholarship opportunities. And we'll also have an opportunity for a Q&A session at the end. To start off, we are located in Lawrence, Kansas, so we're right in the center of the continental United States, very much the heart of the Midwest, as we like to call it, and we're located in the most northeastern part of the state, right next to Kansas City. If you're a little bit more familiar with Kansas City, we're about 40 miles west of Kansas City. That's about like 50 minutes, and there's bus systems that go very regularly between the two cities. So while Lawrence is very much a college town, we like to say, which means just like it's a bit smaller, but it has everything that you need in terms of like grocery shopping, stores, restaurants, and just opportunities. But if you really like that large metropolitan city experience, it's super easy and super accessible to experience that as well while you're here. We have over 50 plus music venues available here in Lawrence. So lots of smaller artists like to pass by if you ever want to enjoy some nice music on the weekend. Or of course, we have those larger artists like Beyonce and Taylor Swift stop by in Kansas City as well. We have worldwide dining. So in Lawrence, we have food from all around the world. That's personally one of my favorite things about KU and Lawrence, honestly. I always miss the food options whenever I'm not here for long periods of time. So we have food ranging from like Mexican, Thai, Vietnamese, Indian, and so much more. So I promise you there'll be so many opportunities to have good food. We also have over 100 miles of trails. So if you're more of an outdoorsy person, like to be active, like to change your scenery, we have lots of trails going all around Lawrence and outside of Lawrence. So we have the Kansas River that cuts through Lawrence. So we have a river walk. We also have a super large lake called Clinton Lake right outside of Lawrence with their additional trails walking against the lake and just amazing views. So great opportunity to just get some fresh air. And of course, we have a very supportive community. So I genuinely always say that there is no KU without Lawrence and there's no Lawrence without KU because we are a college town. Our history and just the impact in the community are very intertwined with one another. Whenever KU has any event going on campus, whether it be a sporting event or just personal like community engagement events that our organizations and clubs are hosting, the local community always comes out and supports, and vice versa. Whenever there's a community event happening on Mass Street, which is like the downtown where all of our local restaurants and shops are located on, we often have like food festivals, food truck festivals, flea markets, farmers markets happening there often. You'll always see a ton of college students just walking around and supporting the local businesses. And because of all of this, we are ranked a top 10 USA college town by US News and World Report. So we're very proud of that. Okay, and some fun fast facts about KU. So we are ranked number one for our honors program among public universities. We are tied with five other universities, but we were giving this by Inside Honors. We're very proud of this. We have a very accelerated but very rewarding honors program if that's something you are interested in pursuing. 96% of our students graduate with employment or go to grad school within 6 months of graduating. At the end of the day, when you go to college, one of the main goals that you want is usually getting a job. So we want to ensure students are able to make those connections and be employed within 6 months. We have our R1 ranking, and we are one of 38 U.S. public institutions in the AAU, which stands for the American Association of Universities. This means that since we are the flagship University of Kansas, meaning we get lots of state funding to do research, since we're part of the AU, we get a lot of federal funding as well to get research. So there's so many research opportunities to participate in, regardless of what you're majoring and studying. Of course, if you're in STEM and the sciences, lots of lab experiences, but also if you're more in the humanities and liberal arts, lots of opportunities to complete research papers in terms of history, philosophy, um, politics, and so much more. We're currently ranked number 28 among public universities for best value schools. This means affordability in terms of how much it costs to attend KU, what you get out of it, but also day-to-day living and where the university is located at. So, of course, there's lots of great universities all across the country here in the US, but it's always important to take consideration if finances are a concern that tuition is important, but as well as like how much is it going to cost for you to live in that city in terms of rent, groceries prices, how efficient is their public transportation? Is there even public transportation and more? We have a 17 to 1 student to faculty ratio, so we're very proud of that for an institution of our size. We have 51 active startup companies based on KU research. So a lot of these are from our computer science, actually. Lots of students, since our computer science program has been founded, have opportunities to do their own startups, make their own apps usually, or through the business school as well. Some students have started entrepreneurship opportunities through the business school that have been founded by KU Research and such, and they have been able to do a startup. And then some notable alumni. We have Kevin Walmart. He's an Oscar-winning professor. He's still a professor in our School of Film, and he won an Oscar for Best Screenwriting back in 2019 for his movie The Black Klansman. Nikki Glacier, she's a comedian. She most recently hosted the Golden Globes, so that was really good, fun. And Brian McClendon, he's a co-founder of Google Earth, and he's also a professor currently at KU. And Clyde Tombaugh, he discovered Pluto. See, have a hand raised.
Yeah, Catherine, I don't know. Your slides are not advancing. I don't know if that's intentional. So just wanted to keep let you know.
That is not intentional. There we go. Sorry about that. So here's some stuff I had about Lawrence, and you can kind of see here on the map of where we're located in, right in the center. And then here are some of the facts I was talking about. Thank you for pointing that out. Okay. Next here is just some of the statistics or breakdowns of our students here at KU. So we have a total enrollment, so this includes domestic students of 30,770. These statistics are for fall 2024. We have not fully finalized and updated the numbers for um, 2025 yet, so just make note of that. We have students from over 94 different countries, and we have a total of 680 international students as of fall 2024. This does not include any exchange students or any students who were here on study abroad programs. And then we also have a breakdown of our top 10 countries here on the side. And then we also have a map where you can get an idea where all the different students are from. Okay. Now, into our programs, we offer over 200 undergraduate programs and over 500 if you include minors and certificate opportunities. So listed here are the schools that we have. So we have the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences, we have the School of Architecture, Design and Planning, School of Arts, Business, Engineering, Journalism, Mass Communications, Languages, Literature and Cultures, Music, Education, Health Professions, Nursing, Pharmacy, Public Affairs and Administration, and Social Welfare. And students have the opportunity to, of course, just if they have a really niche interest, we most likely offer something related into the interest, but if it's niche, they have the opportunity to combine different majors or minors or certificates to really get the best out of the program and the education that they're looking for. Now to our application requirements. So we do have a $90 application fee, and we require a 2.5 GPA on a 4.0 scale. We understand that you might not know your GPA since this is a US grading system, but we do our GPA conversions in-house, meaning we don't accept any third parties like WES or WES or anything like that. When you apply to KU, our processing team will analyze your transcripts and provide you with a GPA based on that. If you are really hesitant or really not sure if you think you'll have that 2.5 GPA, and are concerned about, paying the application fee if you're not sure you'll meet that, please reach out and we can discuss possibly just taking a look at your transcripts and provide you with an unofficial GPA analysis. We also require your transcripts or any certificates or final examinations if you have final examinations in your country. And we do require an English proficiency exam. So here's a list of some of the ones that we offer, the IELTS or the TOEFL. We do accept Duolingo, but the thing with Duolingo is regardless of your score, you will be required to be tested upon arrival by our Applied English Center. So you could have a perfect score, you will still have a hold on your account, but this is a more cost-effective way or easier access way for students to be able to complete their application. If they are not able to take the TOEFL or the IELTS, they can still will still be able to process their application and they'll just have to take a different English test in the future at no additional charge for that Applied English Center test. Same thing, we don't have a minimum score for the English proficiency exam, but if you don't meet the score set on our website, you will once again have a hold and have to be tested by our Applied English Center. And if you don't meet the Applied English Center task requirements, you'll just be required to enroll into our Applied English Center first, take some classes to improve your English, and move on from there. But I believe that probably is not an issue for most of you, but just for reference. And then SAT and ACT is not required for admission at KU, but we will accept it, so it can help you get admitted directly to certain programs, and I'll go into deeper into that here as to some programs that it can assist you with, but it's not a requirement at all. And these are our deadlines. The very first is our scholarship priority deadline. May 1st is our final scholarship deadline, and then June 1st is our final application deadline. And then we do have spring admission, and that's November 15th for both scholarship and application. Okay, and then these are some programs that we offer that have additional requirements to be admitted into directly. So that's a lot of programs actually, like architecture, business, dance. This just means, so the previous slide was our general requirements, so 2.5 GPA to be generally admitted to KU. But for example, architecture has, I believe it's a 3.75 GPA. It's significantly higher. Um, Business, I believe it's a 3.5 GPA as well. So if you don't meet the if you meet the general application requirements but don't meet the requirements to be directly admitted into a program, you'll just be admitted as pre for most of these. So you'll be pre-business, pre-engineering, pre-journalism, and so on until you meet general requirements and increase your GPA to be able to be directly admitted into these programs. However, some programs, I think it's architecture. I think it's honestly only architecture and interior architecture that there's no pre. Unfortunately, if you are not admitted then your first try, it's unlikely that you'll be admitted into the program in the future just because it's a highly competitive program. And they have a very set schedule, meaning if you don't start in the fall, you have to wait another year. It's a minimum 5 years. So at that point, we do recommend that you either look at different programs or either at KU or somewhere else if you really have your heart set on architecture and we're not admitted initially. Okay, I'd like to highlight some of our two most popular programs here at KU, which is the School of Business and the School of Engineering. So starting off with business, these are the majors we offer in business: accounting, business administration, analytics, finance, information systems, international business, management and leadership, marketing and supply chain management. And of course, we also offer additional minors and certificates as well. But School of Business is our second largest school here at KU. The first one is the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences, which is just a huge umbrella. So that one houses majority of the majors. But the School of Business, they have a recently new building, kind of see here in the background of the picture. It was built in 2018, fully funded by business school alumni. It just kind of shows how strong their network and the alumni is. They're very, very much involved with their students and consistently are supporting them through either different means of financing programs, network opportunities, connecting them with companies, and lots of students have been able to find success well before they even graduate. So we are ranked number 38 for best public business programs in the country. They have a 90% employment rate within 6 months of graduation. And as I mentioned, they're the largest school behind the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences. And then this little chart here can be a little bit confusing. But basically what it's saying is that you need at least a 3.5 GPA to be admitted directly into the school. If you do not have a 3.5 GPA, if you do have an SAT or ACT score, that can help you get admitted as well if you have a lower GPA. So for example, If you have happen to have a 3.45 GPA, you're super close, but not quite there. You can get in if you have a score of 21 in the ACT. If you have a slightly lower GPA at a 3.05, you'll have to have a slightly higher SAT or ACT score 25 or higher to get admitted. If you don't have the SAT or ACT because we don't require for general admissions and you don't meet the GPA, then you'll just have to be pre-business. And there's nothing wrong with being pre, it's just like I said, typically means you just have to take a few prerequisites and then you can be admitted usually within your next year of school. And typically it does not affect your graduation time at all, if that is a concern. Now to School of Engineering, I know there's a lot of information on this slide, but starting on the left side, that is a breakdown of our majors for School of Engineering. So we have aerospace engineering, bioengineering, chemical and petroleum, civil, environmental and architectural, electrical engineering, computer science, engineering physics, mechanical engineering, and cybersecurity. So some facts about a School of Engineering, they have a 98% career outcome rate. $2 million worth of scholarships are offered every year to the students, and 94% of the professors are tenured there. So our School of Engineering, we have very advanced labs. Two of our engineering buildings are actually three, sorry. Three of our engineering buildings are pretty brand new. They were built within the past 10 years. Some of them even more recently than that. They have brand new facilities and labs. And honestly, I tour there frequently whenever I have students visit. I help them go on a tour there and connect them with the engineering advisors. And the stuff I see is absolutely incredible, the facilities that they have to offer. Um, and most students are able to get a job pretty quickly out of college because of our programs. So one thing that we struggle actually is our master's programs. We do have engineering master's students, but we're a little less than most schools our size, and that's mainly just because students are so successful getting a good job after the undergrad that they don't see the need to continue and going into the master's, which means to fill the positions that are typically master students positions or grad students positions in labs and such, we have to have undergrad students to fill them so they're able to really get hands-on, really get that higher up experience, which prepares them to get a good job, which means if we don't have master students, it's just a cycle if you get what I'm saying. But it's a cycle that benefits the students at the end of the day. So at least we're happy about that. And then on the right side, you can see our admission requirements for the School of Engineering. I know it's a lot and it can be a little confusing, but basically what it's saying is that they require you to have a 3.0 GPA minimum. That's one set requirement. And then you have to meet a math preparedness requirement. So this can be fulfilled by multiple different options. So one of them is having at least a 540 on the SAT for the math section or 22 on the ACT math section, or have B or higher in a college algebra equivalent class in high school, or have gotten a C in calculus in high school, or have completed a high enough IB or AB credit in math as well. If you do not have any of these, we do offer an online exam called the ALEX that students can take for free twice. And if you have a high enough math score for that, then you can still be placed in School of Engineering. If you do all of this and you still don't meet the math requirement, then you'll just be admitted as pre-engineering. And then you'll have to take some math preparedness courses and prerequisites to ensure that you are able to meet the requirements for School of Engineering and most importantly, be successful in engineering. Yeah, now going into student life, starting with recreation. So here in the US, sports culture is definitely huge. I think football is by far is like the most popular sports in college. But at KU, we always said we were a basketball school. So we do have a good football team. We have high expectations this upcoming season, and we have a brand new football stadium. It's absolutely incredible. It's gorgeous. It's gorgeous, gorgeous. But at the heart in history of KU, we are a basketball school. We actually founded basketball, believe it or not. Um, Coach Naismith, he is a creator at basketball, and he was the first coach here at KU, and we were the first real team he ever coached as well. And we also hold the original rules of basketball here at KU. It's really cool to see. He has a whole little museum and building dedicated to him, and it's housed there right next to Allen Fieldhouse, which is our basketball stadium. We most recently won the basketball championship back in 2022, and we're looking forward to winning again. We have the most basketball championships than any other university. And I always say, to be honest, I always been a fan of KU. I don't really know sports, but it's always just very exhilarating just being in that environment surrounded by students who are so passionate about KU and have so much pride. It's exhilarating. There's no feeling like it. So being fully transparent, I don't know what's going on half the time, but it's still so much fun and is a great thing to experience. And we have a ton of other sports as well. Those are just our most popular, but we have soccer, we have baseball, track, volleyball, hockey, and so much more. And all of those are accessible to students. We also have a recreational center, which is a large three-story gym with all the gym equipment that you want, indoor track, three-story rock climbing wall, all the fields and courts that your heart desires for the most random sports that I don't even know existed half the time. But through a rec center, you can also join a club or intramural sport if you want to play sports yourself. So intramural sports are more casual. So if you just want to play on your free time for fun, get groups of friends together, join a team, very laid back. But whereas club sports, they're a little bit more serious. If you want to take sports a little bit more serious, play more competitively, depending on the sport, they might have a tryout process, and they typically do travel locally, compete against other universities in the area, and sometimes even travel. Yeah, so those are an option if you want to continue playing sport and sport is a passion of yours. And then we have music and theater. You do not have to be a music or theater major to be participate in like our marching band, orchestras, choirs, plays, and musicals. If that's something you're interested in, maybe not enough to be majoring in it, but it's something you want to be able to do as an additional hobby, you're more than welcome to do so as well. And then community, we offer over 600 different groups and clubs to join, ranging from academic. So if you're part, like if you are a business major, for example, we have a marketing club, accounting club. If you're a STEM major, we have women in STEM. We have future leaders of tomorrow and mechanical engineering. There's so much more to choose from. It's a great way to supplement your academic courses, make those connections, and be surrounded by like-minded people with very similar goals as you. But we also have very fun, silly clubs. I was part of the table tennis team just because it was not good, but it was a lot of fun. We have like game board club, we have dancing, tap dancing, swing dancing, so much more to choose from. It's a great way to also just take a break from the academics, really lean into the hobbies, really work on that work-life balance that's important in order to be successful in college. And it's a great way to build up your resume as well. I think employers, of course, they want to see you do good in school. They want to see you get good grades and have those connections, but they also want to see you who you are outside of your academics, outside of you just want to be an engineer, you just want to be an accountant, and so much more. And we also have a lot of cultural clubs and organizations available as well. So we do have International Student Association if you want to be just really involved in being an international student, but you can also work on different identities that you might identify as and want to be involved in that way. And those are different options, and you can be involved as many clubs as you can personally handle. Um, there are cultural events held every semester here at KU. So one of the biggest one is our Jayhawk International Festival. So that is when all of the cultural clubs and organizations on campus, as well as in the community, come out, and it's just a big showcase of everybody's culture. And it's often shown through food. I think that's my favorite. Food, music, art, clothing, dance. It's a really big party. It's a great old time, and you get to see, what communities are here in the area and get to learn from them and learn directly from them. And it's a great time. It's lots of food. I always enjoy it. I'm looking forward to the semester as well. And through all these clubs and organizations, there are leadership opportunities. So they all have a president, they all have a vice president, secretary, historian, and so much more. So that's a great way to also get that leadership experience and bulk up your resume and learn from that as well. Okay, real quick, going into housing. So We have a lot of different room types. We have 10 resident halls, 5 apartment complexes, 12 scholarship halls, and food dining plans. So on the left side, you can see just the different room styles. We have a large variety depending on what you're looking for, where you want to be located on campus. How many roommates are you willing to have? Are you okay having a communal bathroom, or would you absolutely prefer a private bathroom? And of course, your finances, what is your budget in terms of housing? We have a large variety of different options just based on what your preferences and what you're looking for. We students are not required to live on campus. We always highly encourage, especially first year students, to just really get acclimated into the college lifestyle and to campus. If you have never been to the United States or Kansas, it can be a lot, and we just want to make it as easy as possible for you. And typically, already living on campus is the best way to do it to just kind of get settled. But there are great off-campus opportunities as well, so you're not required. But unfortunately, we're not able to house everybody that wants to live on campus. First year students are prioritized. But we do have a priority housing deadline of May 1st, meaning as long as you apply to KU, get admitted, and then sign a housing contract by May 1st, you are guaranteed housing on campus. Anything after May 1st is just up to availability at that point, and there would be no guarantees. So we always say if KU is within your top schools, if you apply and are admitted and KU is one of your top schools, go ahead and sign the contract. You are able to get refunded um, up to a certain date over the summer if you decide not to come here. But unfortunately, like if you do decide to come here and then you didn't sign that in time, unfortunately, we cannot guarantee you that we'll have housing for you on campus as well. Just make note of that. I also like to point out our scholarship halls. So scholarship halls are our most affordable on-campus living option for students who are interested in having a more affordable option. So our scholarship halls are actually much more competitive than even off-campus pricing. I think genuinely believe it's the most affordable housing you're going to find in Lawrence, and it's a great opportunity for students. I actually lived in a scholarship hall when I was a student at KU, and it made a world of a difference for me. So what scholarship halls are, they're like the regular residence halls, but significantly smaller. There's only 12 of them, and they house around 50 students each, unlike the big resident halls that can house 300 to 500 different students. So you get to know everybody in your hall very intimately, and the thing that makes it more affordable is unlike the big residence halls that have a ton of janitorial staffing and upkeeping, students are actually in charge of upkeeping the hall themselves via different chores they have to complete throughout the week. So I know you want to hear chores, you don't want to do chores, but I promise you it's really, really not that bad. It's typically is very simple chores that you only have to do once or twice a week, which is vacuuming the hallways, maybe mopping, if it's a communal bathroom, making sure the communal bathrooms stay clean. Cooking, so you would not have a regular dining plan if you live in a scholarship hall. Students actually cook for each other in the hall, so you can have a cooking shift. I actually really enjoyed it because I got to have basically a homemade meal every day. I didn't have to go to the cafeteria, and while it's nice to have buffet style sometimes, this was really nice getting to really have like much more personal food. And I also learned how to cook because that's a shift I chose to do, and I learned how to cook though. That was a good experience to have because when I grew up more and was living on my own, you definitely want to be able to cook for yourself. And the rates are about 3,236 to $5,398 per year. And you are able to apply any additional aid or scholarships that you have to this as well. And additional scholarships are offered to returning residents. And I will say scholarship halls are a very popular option for international students as well. Lots of international students live there. And they do have a separate application. So when you're applying to housing, there's an option that says, like, are you interested in a scholarship hall? You click that, and they'll take you to a separate application. Okay, so additional resources. So for academic support, we do offer peer academic coaching. So you can have, especially if you're like a first or second year, you can have a peer academic coach who might be a third or fourth year, who's a bit older, has more experience, and can offer you some insights. I'm a first generation college student, so to be honest, when I was going into college, I knew absolutely nothing. I was very, very naive on a lot of things and just unaware. And I got a peer academic coach, and they were my lifesaver. They really helped me get stabilized in college, my classes, my homework, a planner, how to get around campus. I owe them so, so much. And I genuinely believe I would not have made it far within my first year if it weren't for them. So it's always okay to reach out for help. It's there for a reason, and we always encourage students to know of these resources and most importantly, utilize them when needed. We also have supplemental instruction. This is basically a study group organized by the graduate assistant of that class. It's especially nice for like large lecture halls where might have hundreds of students in the class. This is a great way to just step away from the big lecture hall, be in smaller groups, and have direct assistance from the graduate assistant to ensure that you are understanding what's going on in class. We have free tutoring service to all of our students. Oftentimes these are group tutoring services, but depending on the subject, if there's not that many people needing to be tutored, you might have one-on-one tutoring as well. And then we do have a writing center available to all students. So the writing center is great if you have a big writing paper to write and need assistance even starting, editing, looking over. I used them a lot when I was applying for scholarships. I wanted to make sure I had the best essay possible, and they also helped me look over my resume as well when I was about to graduate and looking for jobs. Career Center, so we have a Mentorship Plus. Mentorship Plus is basically LinkedIn for KU students only. So it's a great way to, as a current student, to get connected to alumni or even alumni to alumni as well. After you graduate, and want a career change or you just want to go different opportunities or you just want to get connected to other KU alumni, it's a great resource to see um, what alumni signed up because they want to mentor somebody. And they offer great guidance on what classes you should probably take if you want to follow in their footsteps or just ask, how did you get to the current position that you are? It's great to just be able to ask that sometimes and just have that guideline, step-by-step guideline as to how they got through where they did. Or most importantly, are they hiring, network opportunities, internship opportunities, and such. We have a resume workshop available as well if you really need to start a resume or update your resume. Mock interviews, especially if you've never been in a lot of serious interviews, it can be very nerve-wracking to make sure you're able to answer as professionally as possible and get those nerves out of the way as well. And then we have a free professional closet. So if you do have an interview coming up for an internship or a job opportunity, and don't have professional clothing available, do not worry. We do have a free professional closet for students to access, and they're able to keep the clothing as well. We understand professional clothing honestly is not cheap, and that's not something we want students to worry about. Additionally, we have a free food pantry, so students should not be worrying about food as well. So there are shared kitchens available in the on-campus residence halls if you ever want to cook for yourself, so you can always get some food. But of course, if you live on off campus, you also have access to this pantry. And then we do have a winter cloak closet. It can get pretty cold here in the winter, not going to lie. We typically have about just one snowstorm, maybe two a winter, and that's the worst of it. But if you're not prepared, it can be very brutal. So we want to make sure students are able to stay warm. Okay, now into cost. So this is our annual estimated cost to attend KU for 1 year. So this is following spring semesters. So our tuition and fees is $32,026. So this includes um 30 credit hours, which is 15 credit hours a semester, which is the average a student takes. However, students to be a full-time student just need to take 12 credit hours if you do want to take a little bit less. Includes ISS, which is our International Support Services team fees, as well as additional fees like visa, um, as well as our like CVIS fees and so on, just so you're aware of them. Living expenses, 17,334. So this includes if you were to live on campus on our most affordable resident hall, regular resident hall, not scholarship hall, as well as books, food and dining plans, mandatory insurance, all of those additional living expenses fees for a total of $49,360. Of course, your personal choices can affect what you actually might end up spending here. It could be less or could be more depending on the credit hours that you enroll in. It can depend on where you live on campus. If you live on campus, what dining plan you get. Did you actually buy the books or did you find them somewhere else for free? And more. But this is the amount that is required to prove on a bank statement for it to get an I-20 for a visa, just so you're mindful or aware of that. However, we do offer scholarships. So this is our freshman or first year student scholarships that we offer. They are merit-based, meaning they only take your GPA into consideration. So there is no separate application for these, as long as you apply by the scholarship deadlines that I mentioned earlier, which is priority deadline February 1st, final deadline May 1st. Just apply generally to KU. You will automatically receive the scholarship upon admission if you meet the GPA requirement. So you can get up to $16,000 a year. We also offer transfer scholarships if you have previously been enrolled at a different institution and wish to transfer to KU. Similar concept, no separate application, just apply to KU by the deadlines, and you'll automatically be considered and receive the scholarship if you meet the GPA requirement. There are typically no additional scholarships available upon admission. So once you are a student at KU, we always say for at least one semester, you'll have access to our student access portal where you can see all of the scholarships that are offered at KU. A lot of them are through private donors that have their own requirements. You'll able to filter this portal and you'll be see exactly all the scholarships that you would qualify based on what you filled out. However, like I said, the scholarships are only available once you're already a fully enrolled student, typically have already been attending here for one semester. And this includes departmental scholarships, so engineering, business, journalism, music, any other department offers their own scholarship. I will say the only department that offers scholarships as a first year student being admitted is the School of Music, and that depends on your audition. So they do have an audition process, and based on your audition, they might offer you additional aid or a scholarship, but that is the only department that will offer you scholarships before you're fully enrolled student at KU. Yeah, so that is all that I have for today. Thank you again so much for taking the time for joining and learning more about KU. I hope this was insightful. I did see there might be some questions in the chat, but if you do have any more questions in the future, please feel free to email us at world@ku.edu.
Thank you so much, Catherine, for a very detailed presentation. I was just putting in the chat, like, oh yeah, I remember I think it's Udoka Azubike, who was a KU student who got drafted into
Oh,
the MBA
yeah.
from Nigeria. And I think there's another Ernest someone. And so yeah, so now I understand why basketball is really big at KU. Makes makes a lot of sense. All right. So before I take some questions. I actually have my question of my own. I know that you have a very amazing honors program at KU. Do you maybe talk a little bit about that? Is it open to freshmen, or do you have to, like you said, maybe have spent one semester or a year at KU before you can apply to the honors program or honors college?
Yeah, great question. Yeah, so we are very part of our honors program. So you typically would actually apply your senior year of high school to be part of this honors program. You can apply depending when you're applying. You can apply directly on your KU application. There'll be an option if you like, do you want to fill the honors program out now? I believe it's 2 or 3 essay questions you have to fill out. However, you can also like apply in the future. You don't have to apply at that moment that you're applying to KU, and you can apply directly to their website. And I'll go ahead and try to find a link here. There is a different deadline for international students. It is later than all the other students just because we know that for international things take time and oftentimes you don't really know until maybe already by like the second semester of your senior year exactly where you're going, what you can go, visa stuff, so on. Here is a link here on the chat, a website, a link to our honors website. But if you are not admitted in the first time, you are able to apply again as a freshman at KU. Um, you can transfer in. So if you're transferring in, say your junior or your senior year, you can apply to be on the honors program. However, the curriculum will be very different than somebody who is starting either their first or second year at KU in the honors program. You would not receive the same honors just because you did not. Obviously, it's a 4 year or a minimum 3 year curriculum to graduate with that honors, but you'll still have some sort of honors proving that you were enrolled in this, you were admitted into this, and you have completed at least some of the requirements for the honors program. So the main thing that sets us apart from a lot of universities is just the ESL, which is the what does it stand for? Engagement. Uh, Harry's gonna kill me for forgetting. Harry is the honors advisor. But basically, you do have to do 4 engagement projects at your time at KU. And this can be fulfilled in different ways. It could be an internship. It could be studying abroad. International students can study abroad. Actually, I know you're already technically an international student, but if you want to experience somewhere else while you're here, you're welcome to do that as well. I think one story he told us recently that honestly was like very wow, even I, about the honors program is that he told us that he had a student who was an engineering major. I think it was like mechanical engineering. And he said that he wanted to fulfill one of his engagement program requirements by doing stand-up comedy. Nothing to do with engineering or his academics, of course, but he insisted, this student insisted that he was very passionate about stand-up comedy. That's his way of wanting to connect with the community and advance that side of him. And they're like, okay. We'll accept this if you meet these requirements. And I think one of the requirements was like you have to do this amount of shows a semester. You have to get connected with these like different like not stadiums, what's it called? Well, like different like typical coffee shops or venues or such like that. Do a certain amount of shows, have a certain amount of people show up to a total amount by the end of the semester and so on. And he was able to fulfill this and he got one of those his engagement credits fulfilled that way. And it just kind of shows that they want you to be successful in what success means to you based on your own personal goals, your own personal passions. Of course, he probably did do an internship in mechanical engineering or something at some point, but there's many ways to just really, really be successful in the honors program. I know that they don't have a minimum GPA requirement to be admitted into the honors program because they want to look at your application very holistically. Um, it's an honors program. Of course, grades do matter, but who you are as a person, what your goals are, what you can bring to this program, and how you'll be able to be successful in this program is more important at the end of the day. Um, Honor students are first to enroll into any class. They have enrollment opens up like weeks before any other students, so they're guaranteed to get admitted into any of the classes that they're interested in enrolling in. They have their own resident halls. Honor students are not required to live in this resident hall, but only honor students can live in this resident hall. They have their own study building, and their own seminar building that guest speakers come and talk only to them specifically. So it's a great way that they're additionally supported, have additional resources to ensure that they're able to be successful because some of the classes that they're taking are a little bit more rigorous than some other programs that we offer, especially like we don't want to scare students because say you're in engineering, you know that might be a bit more of a heavier workload. And you might be overwhelmed thinking, well, how am I going to be an honors engineering student? They know they work with you. The classes that they offer for honors engineering, of course, is set up for honors engineering students to be successful in. The last thing they want to do is overwhelm you and overwork you. They just want to make sure that you are successful. And international honor students have gone on to be really, really successful. Well, recently we have current students who were international honor students completing master's and PhD programs in Harvard, one student in Columbia, one student in Vanderbilt. A lot of students are working for Boeing, they're working for Garmin. They've gone off to do absolutely incredible things.
Right. So I just want to make sure we have, I know we're really out of time, but so we have questions here about maybe like application fee waivers. Are there opportunities for students to possibly get application fee waivers or maybe like application free windows? So do you have anything like that or you do require
Yeah.
the application fee?
Yeah, unfortunately, the $90 application fee is just we do not offer waiver of it. It's a hard set requirement.
Then I think this would be my last question because we're really out of time. But for a university like KU, you've mentioned you're big in sports. It seems like you have a wide variety. You talked extensively about your business program and how it's really great. Talked about research and how undergrads have opportunities to do like almost grad level type research at the undergrad level. Talked about like how it's a community, there's lots of things to do. So it doesn't sound like there is a typical doesn't sound like there's a typical student that is a great fit for KU. It seems like it's good for everyone. But what type of student, in your opinion, do you think would thrive at a school like KU?
Yeah, I would say we're definitely more of a mid-sized institution. We're not the smallest by any means, but we're definitely not the biggest. And the amount of faculty, like I said, we have a 17 to 1 student ratio. So things can be very intimate very quickly. As soon as you're out of your first year, like intro classes, you're gonna have classes that are like maybe 20 students or less. So I think it's great for a student who wants to be a little bit more of that intimate one-to-one connection with a professor and with their fellow classmates. I think very quickly you just, even with the big school, you just seem to be surrounded always by the same people that you just get to know everybody and know everybody in your program, know everyone, often if you live on campus in your dorm or your resident hall or so on. So yeah, it's definitely a lot more intimate. It's a lot calmer and quieter here in Lawrence as well. If you want like something that's a bit calmer, a bit quieter. Like I said, we do have access to Kansas City, but Lawrence itself, like it's not a crazy bustling city if you're okay with that. Um, we are, like I said, heart in the Midwest. I think, I don't know if you all are familiar with the Midwest stereotypes. With the Midwest stereotypes is that they were all just very calm, we're all nice, overly friendly, maybe. You don't get a lot of personal space sometimes when it comes to that, but it's all with good intentions. So, and that means it's just up to you if you are okay with that, if you're willing to be in a smaller school, willing to be in a less bustling environment compared to some other universities here in the US. I think they're all great. At the end of the day, it's just up to you of the experience that you are looking for. When I went to KU, I came from a very, very small town, and I knew I wanted a school that had a great sports program. I don't like sports, being honest. Like, I like being there. I don't know sports. I genuinely don't. But I wanted to go to a school that I wanted to be surrounded by people who loved their school so much, had so much pride in it. You can dress up, go to every game, and just be surrounded by people, and it's always so much fun in that sense. But of course, had a good program that I was interested in that offered, and that was what made me happy. I didn't want to go to a school that was overly large, but I knew I didn't want to go to a tiny private college, just because that's not what the experience that I was looking for. Like I said, at the end of the day, it's just the experience that you're looking for and if we're a good match on that.
All right. Thank you so much, Catherine, for really telling us all about KU as a student and now working and with international students and students in general. So for those of you that are listening now and will be watching later, please check out KU, visit their website, see if it's a good fit for you. And if you have any questions, you can always follow up with Catherine, and the email address for questions is world@ku.edu, or you can visit their website ku.edu for more information, especially for those who are joining us and we're asking for or wanting more information about graduate programs and graduate studies. I know this presentation was very undergrad focused, but definitely check out KU for
Yeah.
to see if they have your programs. So thank you so
Uh,
much, Catherine.
yeah, thank you so much for having me. And I did put here in the chat, it's the email for the graduate school. If you are interested in graduate programs, the email is graduate@ku.edu, and there'll be a great contact point for that. But again, thank you so much for having me. It was great. Yeah, and please don't hesitate to reach out if you ever have any more questions.
All right, take care and see you all next week.